And there's another one that is far more primal, that is very difficult to talk about. It has always been understood, and that's the in order for men to be reborn, and this kind of hinges a little bit on the understanding of the Christian teaching about rebirth. But in all traditions, we always had this aspect of understanding that we have many deaths. There are the small deaths. There are pieces of death of ego. But there's a spiritual one also that no one talks about. And that is, for a man to be truly spiritually reborn, they have to go back through the womb. We have to go back through the womb. As we came into this world, we need to complete the circle and go back through that sacred feminine to be reborn. Now that has a literal and spiritual connotation. They're both mirrors of the same thing. Men developed a primal fear. This may be how the pendulum started swinging in the very beginning, before the beginning of time. Men developed a primal fear that in the physical act of love, going into the sacred space of the womb, that they would dissolve into nothing. The male ego, always wanting to be, has those qualities of wanting to be in control. And I'm going to lose myself completely in the act of spiritual love with a woman. These are concepts that very few people will talk about, but it needs to be talked about and understood. That primal fear comes from a less spiritually conscious man. That's how it started. Probably when we slipped out of the present moment into the past through guilt, shame, remorse, anger, rage, jealousy, or into the future out of fear. We slipped out of the proverbial infinite present. And then we engage in sacred love. And the woman's power, through the womb at the center of the universe being inside of her, spiritually can draw you into the point where you dissolve into nothingness. This is the physical way of accessing what all the sages in the world have talked about, dissolving into nothingness. Now, when I went to the womb at the center of the universe, I experienced it through a different route, but it's the exact same thing. I dissolved. My ego didn't exist. My boundaries were gone. I had no sense of self at all. I was simply a stream in consciousness, is what I became when I went to the womb at the center of the universe. And that's when I realized that men, when they go there, unwittingly, if they're not evolved enough, will become terrorized by that experience. So women have to understand this pathology. Women have to find ways, and I'm not saying that it is sexual, I'm talking about energetics, because of what is inside of your womb, to help the men to come back into their place as the sacred warriors. This is why women are going to lead the way. Women experience the most profound level of physical connection to all that is through the womb. And if you have a child, that is the most intimate physical connection any human being can have, is a child inside of your own body. Women who have had children know this. And there's a psychic cord with that child. And you intuitively know this. You know, we also honor, in terms of the sexuality issues, My people have always honored what we call twin spirits. Women or men who have the essence and qualities sexually and otherwise, energetically, both sides. I mean, ultimately, that's what we want to achieve, is to have both sides. And it's metaphorically and energetically represented in someone that we label homosexual, that we call twin spirits, and they're our teachers, because they have gotten to where they are maybe when they were children, whereas it may take us a whole lifetime to get to where they are. And so we then smash that horrifically. Now women, you should empathize with this. Patriarchy will smash that which they are terrified of.